Let me key in on something that you said almost at the very beginning. You
Yeah,
said they remove organized labor, and we all understand that because the labor is just really not there like it used to be, and
yeah.
we can see in our political system where they've been relegated to like a side role almost. But you said something even more important that I don't think people understand is that back in the 60s and 70s, even the mid 70s and whatnot, organized labor was very, very conservative.
Yeah.
And I think when we play back the election of George McGovern and how it goes down, the mythos behind that, why don't you kind of talk about how the organized labor played into his downfall?
Oh, that's a story I don't. They did the thing is that they didn't really help him out. It wasn't that they brought him down. It's that they lost interest in him, and this is a recurring problem. George McGovern was not a bad guy. If you look at what he said and what he stood for on paper, he looks like an ideal kind of liberal. I think he was he was plagued by every kind of problem that can happen to a presidential candidate. Everything went wrong for this guy. But he had a bad relationship with organized labor for all sorts of different reasons, and they didn't help him. They basically, in 1968, organized labor had really worked hard for the Democrats. Remember, that was the year of Wallace. And so they were doing everything they could to stop Wallace. They were very frightened by Wallace. But in 72, they were they were all angry. They were pissed off at the way they'd been treated. And so they didn't really help him out very much, and he went down in a sort of ignominious defeat. But he did do well with this, with the white collar, what they called at the time the suburban liberals, the white collar professional class. He did very well with this group, and that was the sort of the beginning of the transformation of the Democratic Party. And you said how organized labor is not a big force in American life anymore. That's true. I'm older than you. When I was growing up in the 70s, organized labor was this huge part of everyday life in America. If you had a blue ribbon commission, a certain number of the seats had to go to labor unions, right? If you had a town celebration in your town, wherever it was, they had to, organized labor had a presence. If you had a parade, they had a float in the parade. It was that kind of thing. They were just part of civic life in America, and they've completely disappeared. Not completely, but they have largely disappeared. And a big part of that is because their traditional political ally, the Democratic Party, really doesn't give a damn about these guys anymore. They don't lift a finger to help them out. I'm sorry, I'm being really blunt there, but
No, I think that is critical to understand that that switch was made, and then you look at where labor is today and how they have so little influence, but yet you still see them lining up behind
yeah.
the Democratic Party time and time again.
Yeah, well, they're terrified. They're like so many of us. They're scared of the Republicans. Like take a guy like Scott Walker, up in Wisconsin. He terrifies them. And so they feel like they have no choice. And by the way, when you talk to these guys, to the leadership of labor groups, and it's not always guys, but when you talk to the leadership, they're very they feel like they've been abused by the Democrats. They say we give them all our money every 4 years. We turn over the treasury to these guys. Our members go out and work really hard to get them elected, and then they don't give us anything. And then we say, here's our one issue, and they just let it drop. They don't do anything. And that should sound familiar. Because it's familiar to me. This is what they do with liberals. This is what they do with so many groups, because our fear of the Republicans is greater than our willingness to stand up to the Democrats. Right now, everybody, it's like you said at the start, the Republicans are so frightening that we really don't have anywhere else to go for a lot of us. It's not just a metaphor.
I understand that that's how people view the situation. I don't agree with it because I believe in competitive democracy.
Yeah, there you go. Of course.
If you're stuck in that kind of situation, it almost seems like it's like you're a captive constituency, so to speak. And I think
that's exactly right, though. That's where we are, man. That is exactly right.